All right, LeBron, this is the first of a series of documentaries. Magnify, the name of this series. I'm sure a lot of projects get thrown across your desk, Maverick's desk. Why this project?
It just hit home for us. And, when we got an opportunity to see the footage from East St. Louis, from this school and these guys and these kids and these adults that's trying to incorporate life skills into these young gentlemen that have futures beyond what they believe in, it kind of hit home for us because we were those kids at one point in time growing up in the inner city and not really believing that there was anything besides that. So when this project came to us, it was like, wow, we can really relate to these kids and really relate to this story.
You mentioned adolescent, and as an adolescent, sometimes hope is all you have in those moments. But then like yourself, perfect example, getting through those, there's fulfillment, there's pride. What's the difference to you between hope and pride?
When you grow up in the inner city, hope is really all you have. You have a lot of dreams at nights that you wake up and you're like, okay, that was a dream. I don't really think that could become reality. You have more nightmares than you have dreams, which is the bad part about it. So hope is like all you can kind of wish upon. And you're like, I hope I can make it out of this situation. I hope, I can make it to school today. I hope that someone is put in my life that can see more than what I can see right now. I hope that we can win this game on this Friday night lights. That's all you have. But the pride comes from being an African-American kid growing up in the inner city around a lot of things that you never want nobody else to see, especially when you have a family of your own that you want to see. But that pride is like, I'm from this inner city, I'm from these streets, and nobody's ever going to disrespect me or where I come from or what we believe in. And that's the pride. You have the pride of walking around saying, yeah, I'm from East St. Louis, or I'm from Camden, New Jersey, or I'm from Akron, Ohio. I'm from Gary, Indiana. There's just certain areas in America where you're just prideful to be from there because you know how hard it is. That pride and that hope is kind of just a direct correlation when you grow up in the inner city with nothing.
I know there are a lot of people who understand who you are, your upbringing, but for those who don't, as they watch this documentary, how does this story relate to you?
It relates to me because I remember being basically an adolescent kid, a young man is what they call them at times, with the notion that no one really wants to give us an opportunity to make it out of the situation that we're in. And in East St. Louis and Akron, Ohio, you feel like it's just us and no one cares about us. And the biggest part about it that it relates to me is that for some odd reason, there's always people put in your life, either from coaches or in the case of in East St. Louis, a police officer who decides to work part-time being a police officer and then come to the practices and comes to the games and be a coach or teachers or someone that sees more than what you can believe in. They give you an opportunity. They give you like the skills and the knowledge of saying like, this isn't about me. This isn't about wins or losses. This is about you guys becoming young men and actually believing in something that can become possible at some point in time. And that's why this story kind of relates to me, it relates to my friends and our upbringing and what we went through as well.
Is there a player in this documentary that you relate to?
There's not just one. There's so many different characters and players and that I can kind of relate to because at whatever point in Doc, once you see it, I can relate to either that day or that moment at practice or that day during school or that day when I was back home and you just like, there's no hope for us or when you I don't really want to tell you about what happens with the team and all that nature, but there's also some great moments as well. There's some moments that I can relate to it both, from a high or to a low, both emotionally. It's not one character that I can kind of relate to, but there's so many different instances throughout the course of it that I can relate to.
For you, gifted, add in your work ethic, greatness. That's what we're watching. But you've also been a product of a less desirable upbringing, if you will. So for those who have that same upbringing, and sports isn't their ticket out, what's your advice to them?
Well, I think my advice to anyone is that, well, you can never put all your eggs in one basket, for one. I think school is very important. Education is very important, and we have to always understand that. And there's always a teacher that you can talk to. There's always a counselor you can talk to. There's always a coach or someone that you can talk to. And if sports doesn't work out, you can still be a part of sports. You don't have to be in the, actually on the court or actually on the field. You can, do what you do. There's so much more rewarding things that comes with, being a part of sport, because we know what sport create. Sports create friendship. It creates, it creates happiness. It creates togetherness. It creates a brother and sisterhood. It creates so much, and you don't have to always have to put on a uniform to be able to have that feeling still. So, if you're not able to ultimately reach the goal that you wanted to reach, but you still want to be a part of sports, there's always so many outlets for that still.
Do you feel the need to get this type of message out to the youth of our country or to the world?
There's a need to get these stories and these messages out to the world, and that's why I started Uninterrupted and started Serene Hill Productions, because there's so many stories out here, not only in America but in the world, that needs to be told, and people need to see it. And I hope they see it, not only for themselves but for their families, and for if you're a teacher, for your classroom or whatever the case may be, because you never know. You hear stories, but you never actually know what's actually going on, and to actually be able to see the cameras in the faces of these young men and this coach, and this police officer who gives up his time to be an assistant coach, and to the community, to see all this, being captivated behind or within sports, and in this case football. It's just like, wow, you can read about things, you can hear about things, and that's cool too. But when you actually can see it and hear the actual characters and the actual people talk about what it means to be who they are and how tough it is to be who they are, and who is going to be my help, who's going to be my guardian angel to help me get out of this situation, because I feel like I have a talent. To be able to see it, that's when you can really, really dive into it and really mean something.
As this documentary is released, what will fulfill you? What do you hope those take away from this?
The emotion from it. How real it is. And there's so much talent, and there's so many gifted people in this world. And if we can just have a mentor here, like I said, or a coach here that I had, that was the biggest thing for me when I was younger. I had a mentor and a coach that was like, believed in me and believed that I can be better than what I thought I could be. And that's what I hope people can get out of this, is that this one particular coach, just his whole message is not about him, and and winning, the win and loss. People get so caught up in wins and losses that, yes, he's the head coach of this football program, and yes, he want to win, but it's so much bigger than a win and a loss. It's so much bigger. He wants to see these kids get out of this community, because there's no bright spot, and they are the light that keep the city going. But he wants them to get out of there, because there's so much more to the world. So I hope people can see that and recognize that there's so many people out here trying to help the youth.
What do you enjoy most about being a part of films or documentaries?
What I love most about being a part of documentaries and films and making these things is the authenticity of it. It's just very authentic. There's no sugarcoat. There's no like cut. Let's shoot that again. Rewind. Oh, we didn't get that right. It's just like it's just raw footage. And when we get all the footage, we try to piece it together, but keep it authentic to whatever group of people that we just target that time. And I think people become more and more captivated with that more than anything.
Dwayne Wade, he's a part of this as well. How is he involved?
He's a part of the overall documentary series. He and Chance, the rapper, covered a basketball program out of Chicago around kind of the same attitude around it. And obviously we know the tough times that comes with growing up in Chicago and being in inner city as well. So I was able to grab a group out of East St. Louis and follow this high school and follow this football program, and D. Wade and Chance got an opportunity to do something in their hometown of Chicago. So it's going to be a great doc series, 89 blocks. Looking forward to it. I'm excited.